welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to REDCast Season 4. I am your host this time, not Reg. Yeah, it sounds weird to me too. PsychedelicScizor, and I am joined here by Yellow Coach CamThaMan, Yellow Coach Biribon, and Blue Coach Showan.
You're supposed to say hi? Hi.
I guess. I didn't make that very clear, did I? Alright, okay. So moving on past that, we're just going to hop right into the first team. These are going off of Nathan's power rankings for Yellow, and our number 14 team is the Atlanta Braviaries, coached by ZDH. His team is Tapu Koko, Excadrill, Suicune, Hawlucha, Haxorus, Gigalith, Stoutland, Emboar, Sceptile, Glaceon, and Yanma. Would anyone like to take this?
Cam just died for a second, but I'll start. Yeah, just wasted too many points. He already changed like half his team. We're not gonna talk about trades.
Yeah.
He just grabbed like, dude, what's the point of having Sceptile and Hawlucha? Sceptile is supposed to be the ground resist, because a good one. His only ground resists are like Sceptile and Yanma. Yanma is not a real Pokemon.
And Lucha, I guess.
Yeah, but like all these aren't the kinds of Pokemon you want to switch. You have a bunch of ground weak mon. Drill, Koko, Gigalith, Emboar. Why? I don't get. I think he focused too much on Burden and Brush. That's it.
You said it's just a waste of points. Like Tapu Koko is decent. Like it's got quite hit because there's no hidden power, and then it's just sand, terrain, and terrain abusers and sand abusers. But as you said, the text is just a waste of points, and yeah, I don't know. He was thinking like speed, but that's all he has, kinda.
I'll at least say Haxorus, I think, is pretty freaking underrated. That thing is super strong. It's a really good breaker, but yeah, I mean the defensive synergy kind of just doesn't exist. But
Does like actually well for 12 points.
So he's probably gonna have to go balls to the wall offense every week if he wants to win. It's kind of hard because besides we already talked about his ground resists, his fighting resists are just Koko, Lucha, and Yanma.
Yanma's pretty good because it's 4 times, but it's also 4 times weak to rocks, and you can't run Boots and Eviolite. Run one or the other. Not good.
Isn't the Pokemon? So yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know, man. I think 18 points for Koko is just too much.
Yeah.
Actually, it's really bad now. Like compared to what it was in Gen 7, it's really bad.
I mean, isn't it 16 with tax or something? Wait, is it really?
No. The tax goes into the Umbardamon, not Koko himself.
No, but Koko is 16 points on the dock.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think it was
It's
18.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense then.
Yeah.
Oh.
So.
Well, he's just
other than that,
many options.
Like non-existent. He has like Sucker Punch, Emboar, and First Impression Haxorus. So if his terrain and sand's not up, he gets kind of like out offensed really easily because his team's kind of slow without the abusers.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Do we have anything else to add to that?
I don't really have anything else to say, to be honest.
Yeah. And even then, it's not like the team can't win. He like sand offense is good and Lucha is good, so I mean I think he can make it work. He's just very limited in how he can do that.
Yeah, it's straightforward.
It's gonna be cheese though. Like every time someone's gonna under prep for Lucha or some shit and he's gonna get a sweep. Like
Oh yeah, of course.
That's how it works.
Hoping for that.
So I guess we're ready to move on then.
Yep.
All right then. For number 13, we have Mortal and the Philadelphia Pichus. His team is Gliscor, Melmetal, Zapdos, Tapu Fini, Blacephalon, Roserade, Umbreon, Goodra, and Ambipom. Barry, I feel like you have some feelings about Melmetal we might want to get out of the way.
This joke needs to stop. I'm tired of it. Melmetal is a good Pokemon. I especially love Melmetal here because its synergy with Fini and Zapdos is really good. Zapdos gets Earth, ground immunity, and Fini is fire resist. Also, Misty Terrain Melmetal is really good too because you basically gain a 4 times resist to a dragon, and you can't be Will-O-Wisp and stuff. But that's where everything stops. Like, that's the only synergy in the team. Everything else doesn't really make sense, and the team is so slow. Like, the only ones above 100 speed are Blacephalon and Biribon, and those... Blacephalon is strong, but doesn't want to run boots, and it also doesn't... If it's not specs, it's somewhat easy to attack. If it's not Scarf, it doesn't do enough damage, so it has a lot, like, it's not good enough at doing things it wants to do. Without Z-moves, you can't break with Calm Mind and that, so yeah. And Ambipom is just weak. Good for 6 points, but it isn't the kind of cornerstone Pokemon you want to run.
Yeah, my initial reaction to the team was like, outside of Melmetal, there's not much that's real scary on this team. Like,
Yeah.
you know, everything seems limited in some way, or just not that strong in the first place. Melmetal is kind of really going to be pressured to break for this team.
It's also a 9 Pokemon draft, and when I look at 9 Pokemon draft, I tend to think like, well, if you're gonna run 9 Pokemon, at least have like an offensive core that is damn near impossible to check. Like in blue, Tone has Aegislash plus Hydreigon, which is insane, and this doesn't have it. So stuff like that. This doesn't have meaningful offenses. Blacephalon and Ambipom aren't Pokemon, aren't early game Pokemon. You can just throw moves. Metal is, but it gets chipped eventually and dies. Not that hard to check.
It feels like a defensive team without much defensive synergy. But
yeah, the defensive synergy is good. Like Gliscor, Fini, and Zapdos is really good, and Umbreon is okay, but the rest is like Goodra though. I think Goodra is rated a bit.
It's not that good either. Like, Fini gets worn down, he doesn't have Wish, well, it is Umbreon actually. But yeah, Umbreon I feel is too passive, and I think he really has to rely on Gliscor and Zapdos to get in Melmetal, to really break for him. And yeah, it's just really balanced draft, but leaning on the defensive side too much, I feel.
Yeah, Melmetal, that's a good point. Melmetal likes momentum, and both of his momentum options... Volt Switch on Zapdos is fine, but Gliscor doesn't like running U-turn that much. It prefers to run other moves.
Exactly. Yeah, you have U-turn on Ambipom, I guess, but... I don't know.
Again,
that's just
relying on Ambipom.
Yeah, it's not the kind of Pokemon you build around.
Cam, you have anything to add?
I don't know. I just don't think the defensive core like fits together all that well. Like Fini doesn't even protect Zapdos from status. Gliscor and Zapdos are like the 2 cornerstones of the draft, and yet they share weaknesses. Like the team gets shredded by Edgequake, Bolt Beam, like any combination. Throw at it, it's really full.
Edgequake, Gliscor goes with very well, but Bolt Beam, yeah.
It's kind of a hard criticism though, because Bolt Beam is really good versus almost everything. So
yeah.
overall, even just like the last team, you can still win with this team. There's still good tools here. Again, just kind of limited. Like Melmetal
Maybe
has to
this is
break.
style of play. Maybe he can make it work really well.
Is the only rocker Gliscor? Am I just realizing that?
Oh yeah, there's that.
too.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
but he has but he has Rose Raid with X and TX. That kind of patches it up a bit. Also, Rose Raid without hidden power is it's the saddest Pokemon ever. People talk about Jodon, but Rose Raid missing hidden power is so huge.
I mean, it's not a good removal, I guess, in Fini, Zapdos, and Gliscor. But it's defog, so you can't really spike stack all that much.
Yeah, and also his defog removes his terrain, which helps him. So, it's kind of bad synergy.
Yeah, it's interesting graph for sure. Maybe he can make it work, we'll see.
Yeah. We're good to move on then.
Right?
Alright, at number 12, we have Hypook and the Leslieville Scizors. That team is Scizor, Azumarill, Noivern, Celebi, Nihilego, Volcanion, Mamoswine, Rotom F, I believe that's Rotom Fan, Chansey, and Scrafty.
Rotom F is Fan. We use Rotom I for Ice.
That's what I thought. Anyone want to take
This team has really good priority. That's about it. Doesn't do much more than that. Priority spam is a real strategy. Kind of weird. Hazard setters are Heliego, it's a horrible Pokemon. And Mamoswine. Fancy, I guess.
And Celebi. Celebi's a good rocker.
Yeah, Celebi's fine. So everything is 4 times weak to something. Azumarill and NCS and Roam.
Mamoswine.
Yeah, true. Like Mamoswine has a lot of weaknesses.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of defensive pressure on Celebi on this team. Like, this whole team doesn't really feel like it has any true walls outside of Chansey, who I think is a god-awful Pokemon, but that's just me.
Yeah. And I agree. C is not good. Roughly.
But the momentum on this team is extremely good, I think. Scizor, Celebi, Rotom, Noivern, and even Teleport Chansey are all good pivots.
I don't know about that, because if you look at it, like the poison resist has Heliego and Scizor are the only ones. And Scizor is fine, but both of these Pokemon have like times weakness. And the fire resists are Nihilego, Azumarill, and Volcanion. That's it, right? Yeah. And Noivern, I guess, but Noivern isn't really a fire resist.
Yeah.
Nihilego and Volcanion all kill your momentum instantly. Like, they're really bad because Nihilego is weak and has bad coverage, and Azu and Volcanion are both very slow. The moment you send them in, you're forfeiting momentum, and he has a Scizor as his main Pokemon, so need good fire resists. Like,
I disagree about Noivern not being a good fire resist.
Okay. We're gonna have to agree with disagree. We're gonna have to agree with disagreeing on this.
This team also
I guess
really
the priority.
doesn't... Sorry, you go.
I guess the priority makes up for the speed tiers because it feels like the majority of the team is just like dumb slow at base like 70 to 80, and then just jumps up to like Celebi, Nihi, and then Noivern.
Yeah, the speed tiers are also very bad too.
Yeah.
Noivern and Lego is not the kind of gap you want to play around with.
Not really.
Well, we're gonna run Modest, Tornadoes, Modest, Ninja.
I think it's mainly that he doesn't really have anything around 100. Like, Celebi is the 100 mon, and then...
I think Lego's 103, but...
Yeah, but then... Well, I guess Mamoswine is how much?
80.
So you really don't want to run. I
guess
if
it
you have
isn't
a
that bad.
Celebi, so if you have a Celebi, you really don't want to run Timid Nihilego. You want to run like, or 'cause otherwise it's just too weak.
Yeah, fair point.
So a positive and a negative here. I think Volcanion is actually much better defensively now with boots. It can actually use its kind of decent typing to switch into stuff. But my negative for this team is this team kind of hates bulky waters. It really needs Celebi to break them, but it also really needs Celebi to be defensive to handle a lot of typings it just doesn't handle otherwise.
Mostly ground, because I think Celebi, and Rotom, I guess. Celebi and Rotom and Noivern are the only ground resist. I think 3 is fine, actually. It might
Rock
work.
resist, they're kind of non-existent other than Scrafty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Rock-
Noivern and
Rock
Volcanion
is the
and-
kind of type you can play around with, because a Stealth Rock throws stuff, I guess, most. And there aren't that many, like, offensive rock types. I think Tyranitar actually went undrafted.
That's right.
It's
We're
like
still playing with,
Terrakion
like,
and
the Lycanroc,
what else? And
Rhyperior.
yeah, both like rock. Rhyperior is usually fine. Azu and Scizor can deal with Hype, and Volcano. Volcano dies, but it can check.
One condition will pretty much always come down to priority. I mean, he has a lot of it, but he just needs to make sure that he can clean up in the end. And I'm not sure if he has enough defensive backbone to reach the end of the game, or enough breaking power to ensure that he can just sweep in the end.
Yeah, I like priority spam as a strategy. I used it before, but if you do that, you kind of want to make your opponent run the least bulk possible, and I think he failed on that regard.
Yeah.
It just feels like, I don't know, the team just feels weird. It doesn't necessarily feel bad, but it's just odd. I don't know how to put my finger on it.
I agree. Like, I don't really see much synergy other than just a lot of priority, and I don't know. Maybe it's just mons that he's comfortable using comfortable. I'm not sure what I'm saying, but he's comfortable using them. I think maybe that's the way he drafted. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it doesn't have like the one singular threat other than maybe Scizor, I guess. But
I mean, Belladrum Azu is still definitely a threat, I think. But
Maybe he will end up
the one that's
using
gonna
third
carry
create.
every week, every game.
yeah, but that's about all I got. Is there anything else to add?
Not really, I think.
All right. Guess we'll move on. Next, number 11 is Vic and the Houndoom Hercules. That team is Aegislash, Toxapex, Kyurem, Tapu Lele, Volcarona, Jolteon, Lycanroc Dusk, Eldegoss, and Alolan Muck. I'll kind of start with this one because I have a couple things to say. Out of this 9-mon team, he has 5 ground weaknesses and a single resist, and it's kind of a problem, in my opinion. Like Eldegoss, there is a ton of defensive pressure on Eldegoss to come just about every week, because it's his ground resist, and it's his one of his only electric resists outside of Jolteon and Kyurem. Well, what do you guys think?
He also has no. Go, Cam. Go.
Okay. Well, I feel like just hyper offense with a Toxapex to just pivot, and then he has Tapu Lele to prevent priority, but then he has Aegislash with Shadow Sneak. So it's like, I like the idea, but it's just, I'm not sure, because he also has Lycanroc Dusk for priority, and I'm not sure. Like, the idea is there, but I don't really see the synergy yet. And as you said, the ground weakness is pretty huge. I think, yeah, air balloon is a thing, but I feel like you shouldn't be needing to run air balloon because your draft is just very ground weak.
It's interesting that you look at this and see HO, because I look at the first three and immediately see stall. And
I
there's
guess.
just not much synergy with it. But like Aegislash Pax Kirim is one of the best stall cores you could have. Like,
Yeah, now you mention it, Kieran can actually just... Yeah. But does Kieran still have Toxic?
It does. Everything still has
Yeah.
toxic for Gen 1.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, it could actually be very stally.
Yeah, I don't see it as being forced into HO. He has slash Toxapex, Kyurem, and Eldegoss, which are... Eldegoss Toxapex is a little bit of a regen core. Eldegoss doesn't have momentum, which sucks, but neither does Tangrowth, and Tangrowth does fine. And... like, Lele is so weird here. I don't know what the Lele is doing. I don't understand. I think the idea is that Lele is supposed to break, like, poison types, like abuse poison types that come into toxic spikes, and just load stuff with psychics, but Lele isn't as strong as he used to be also. And like, he has so much priority. Well, doesn't have that much, but Aegislash and Lycanroc especially loves to use Rock, and Lele kind of sucks that.
Well, something I think the real offensive like couriers like Kyurem will force in steel and fairy types, and Lele will force in steel types, which is usually free entry for Aegislash. So I think it's not as much Aegislash supporting Lele as Lele is giving Aegislash free switch-ins in a lot of cases. Or bulky psychics for that matter. So I think this whole team is kind of built around Aegislash going crazy, or even Volcarona for that matter. Like,
Psychics usually have Shadow Ball, but yeah, I see what you mean.
Aegislash absolutely takes a stray Shadow Ball, and if you're weakness policy, Rock Polish with Psychic Terrain up to block priority, that could be game right there.
Yeah, that's true.
Could actually be quite creative with what he brings. As you said, it could be very stally with Aegislash, Toxapex, and Kyurem, or it could be just hyper offense. Like, now I think of it, it's actually not linear draft at all. So, yeah.
But at the same time, he drafted Toxapex, no electric immunity. I don't even see a Jolteon because that's so bad.
Yeah, Jolteon, especially without the HPIs now, I don't know.
Jolteon is so bad. It's so bad.
I mean, this team might have the worst hazard game in the entire league. Like,
nah.
Rock Setter, and Eldegoss is the only remover.
Nah, but he has Toxapex. No team with Toxapex can be the worst hazard setter.
I mean, not the worst hazard setter, but the worst.
Cut out there, but I'm assuming you're talking about worst rocker removal. And yeah, that's fine. But like rocks, you can do without rocks. Or without rocks, but like you don't have to bring them every game.
Yep.
Last season on Red, the end of Gen 7, I think I clicked entire season. So you don't often need removal, especially now with boats.
Yeah, but I mean, Volcarona certainly would like to run a boosting item, but it's strong enough to where, yeah, I can run boots fine. Like, it ran, berries, like, constantly with, not a boosting item, and it was still powerful then. I just feel like, and this isn't necessarily a huge problem, just because I do feel like it's actually a decent glue mon, but Eldegoss is, I feel like, going to be forced to come most weeks, just being the electric resist and the ground resist for the whole team, and being the only remover, which is fine because it's good at all those roles, but, you know, it kind of has to come most weeks.
Yeah. And also kills his momentum, which he appreciates.
Yeah. I also really wish that thing got toxic.
At the same time, it's Vic, right? And Vic is from the school, Recon Jack school of play, and he plays like a movement. He's gonna double and do stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
He's
true.
the reigning yellow champion, so he didn't deserve the title for nothing. So I think he will make it work for sure.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, just a lot of dangerous weapons here. As much as we had some nitpicks, these first 5 are incredibly scary. So that's about all I got.
Right.
Anything else to add?
No, let's continue.
All right. Next, at number 10, we have got TB and the Vancouver Milotics. The team is Zeraora, Latios, Mimikyu, Cobalion, Talonflame, Blastoise, Alolan Persian, Vanillix, Tapu Bulu, Drapion, and Tauros. Someone want to take this?
I can start, sure. Yeah. Go ahead, Cam. Go ahead. You start.
So the thing that catches my attention is Cobalion, because it's the only Steel type and also the only Rock setter. So it feels really important, but it also means the team doesn't really have much in the way of flying resists or, I think, fairy resists. Like the Talonflame is the only fairy resist, and Zero's the only flying resist. So shit like Tornadus just comes in and chomps on.
Yeah, that's a little rough.
True.
Again,
To be honest,
that's your team.
I actually vote this team like really high. So we voted on anything. I did like my meme OPRs. I put this team at first. Like, fairy resist isn't as a problem. This kind of draft because not many people had, gameable fairies. Like, there's no Mega Mall, Mega Diancie, Mega recall. A Gardevoir, stuff like that. Not very fairies.
Clef comes in on Lottie and just clicks Moonblast, and nothing comes in on it. Gardevoir comes in, Sylveon comes in, clicks Hyper Voice.
I guess. Yeah, Sylveon is one. And flying, yeah, there's Tornadus, and flying is definitely a type you should resist. But I really like how Ulu supports the team really well here. Zeraora and plus Ulu is just really strong. Becomes impossibly hard to check. Drapion as well. Like, he has 2 Pokemon basically have no weaknesses under grassy terrain. Is really strong. Oleum 2 loses the ground weakness.
And in case we forgot, Vanillix has Veil, I'm pretty sure. So
It does.
So Veil plus, look at all these setup threats. Blastoise now having Shell Smash, SD Talonflame, all kinds of setup Cobalion, Mimikyu. You can even call mine Latios or bulk up Zera. He can definitely play this hyper offense.
Everything in his team has literally everything, except maybe Taurus. Taurus is really strong.
Yeah, shit, you're right. Everything sets up.
True.
Yeah.
And for that type of team, as much as I thought round through was maybe a stretch for it, I think Mimikyu actually works really well on those hyper offensive teams, kind of as a panic button. It's like if something's getting out of hand, you have that disguise to just get rid of something.
Yeah, I agree.
That's how I always liked using it, just kind of as a safety blanket, and it's really good at that.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like in this team is like if Spikes, AST, Spikes and Drapion, but Spikes will benefit this team a lot because it forces a lot of switch-ins.
Yeah.
That's very true. I do kind of like this team overall.
I do feel like Holucha could easily sweep this team once Mimikyu doesn't have his disguise and Talonflame doesn't have priority. Am I right?
Yeah, but I actually just realized with boots, Talonflame can keep its priority a lot easier.
True, but once it's broken, I mean, he has to bring that, otherwise a Pokemon like Holucha can just sweep, because he doesn't have a flying resist. So yeah.
Yes, Sierra Aura.
He doesn't have a flying resist.
I guess. But like, it's not very defensive.
Yeah, Holucha can definitely win if he loses his Flame loses priority, but it's not hard to keep those.
No, but he
might be
forces him to play without that Mon.
Yeah, you're right. I agree. It's a one Pokemon. When it comes to face the Holucha, he'll out.
I mean, maybe he won't even face it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Offense beaters do kind of wreck this team, like weather abusers do kind of wreck this team too. But I think the only weather is also CDH.
No. Disagree. He has Vanillux. Always remove weather. He can always run Vanillux. Just remove sand or there's no rain. Only weather team is just also the Holucha team.
Yeah.
So it sounds like ZDH just counter drafted TB.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that'll be an interesting match to watch. I think that's about all I got.
Yeah, let's go to the worst draft of Yellow, in my opinion. No, just kidding.
Yeah,
the next one's really bad.
It's interesting to say the least. That is my draft, PsychedelicScizor and the Oakland A's Elves. The draft is Victini, Greninja, Lando, not Sheer Force, Hoopa Unbound, Buzzwole, Stakataka, Lantern, Porygon Z, Alolan Executor, Wigglytuff, and Muck. And I'm ready for the roast.
You have the ugliest draft I've ever seen. Side of Victini, Lantern, and Wigglytuff. Those are cute.
It is pretty ugly.
Oh, I don't know why you keep.
Oh, someone starts. Always starts.
Well, I kind of like the Ultra Beast core of Buzzwole and Stakataka. But Buzzwole is your ground resist, and an Executor, I guess. But like Victini is weak, Stakataka is weak, Lantern is weak, Muck is weak to ground.
I think that's fine, to be honest. He's not bringing like Muck, Lantern, Sakataka, and Victini. Victini and Sakataka maybe, but he's not bringing Lantern and Muck and those two in the same game, and not bringing Buzzwole and Landers. His ground resist, despite having more weaknesses than resist, the resistor are really good. The Executor is fairly sturdy. Buzzwole has
107 hit points and 139 defense. It's gonna chew any earthquake.
Buzzwole needs like aerial aces and stuff, like does not care about earthquake. And Landers is also pretty decent. It's not T, so it can't like intimidate people, but it's still fairly okay. It has good HP. And without hidden power, like Buzzwole and Landers are safer switches. So I think it works out in his.
Yeah,
I don't like his Ataka. Like I really don't think that Pokemon's thing at all. Outside of Trick Room, it's fairly useless.
But in my experience, it pretty much always gets Trick Room up, and it pretty much always gets a kill once it gets Trick Room up. At least in my experience, but that was more 8-man
without
format,
moves, but
full drafts.
Yeah, people be I know what you mean in 8-mon, but 9 to 11, people usually have at least one bulky warrior that can tank a gyro ball. People can do like bullshit like run Iron Ball on their defensive Pokemon to reduce gyro ball damage. So it's not as good as you think, and you can run Z moves on it. You're not gonna get that plus attack as easily as you would in Generation 7.
The thing I really hate about this team is, outside of Greninja, how like middling speed tier it is. Like, it gets really out offense really easily. It gets hazard stacked really, really easily. And if Trick Room's not up, you pretty much just get roasted by every Pokemon above base 100. Granted, you can't immediately revenge. Like,
Greninja is also like not strong. It's okay. It can do its work, but if the Pokemon isn't weak to its stabs, it's not that strong.
No, yeah, that's fair.
Like,
I'm trying not to add too much. Trying to, not be too
Yeah,
biased.
There's your analysis video. If people want Psyche's opinion, just under his analysis video.
like,
And just explain why you picked the ones you picked.
Well, I mean, there's no hiding it. This is like straight up a full-on Trick Room team, or mostly. I mean, it can go full Trick Room, but it doesn't necessarily have to, because like mons like Victini and Porygon C, I think, are the biggest examples of they can go slow and go Trick Room, but they also can go Scarf and blow past you, and the kind of speed mix-up. It's kind of hard to prep for both ends of it. Same thing. I think Hoopa Unbound is, I mean, it's a great breaker. It's kind of hard to get in sometimes, but it's just so freaking strong. And I'll also say the hazard game is actually a little limited. I'm the first to say that. Lando Eye is my only really consistent rocker. Stacka doesn't like to rock. Wigglytuff is very situational. So Lando kind of has to rock most weeks, it seems like.
and it's also the only remover.
Yeah.
That too. Not that I have too many rock weeks. Like, I think I only have one.
No, but your only way of removing toxic spikes is Muck. Oh, and you're not gonna bring Muck to most games.
That's true.
So any toxic spikes kind of destroy you. Buzzwole hates it.
Dislike about this team is that it.
Cam, you cut off there again.
I think we should just continue once he rejoins.
Yeah, I think he's in the chat. He's talking, but he's just silent for some reason.
I think he has connection issues.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like the team, but I 100% get it's not the top-rated team because I did draft some jank. Just ones I like using.
Okay, Cam, you're back. Give up your thoughts about like.
So the thing, I don't know when I cut off, but the thing I hate about this team is that there's not really much in the way of like obvious Trick Room setters, like good ones. Like, you have Stacka, I guess, but it's missing a lot of the conventional Trick Room setters you would expect to find on this, like Brioniclus or like Slowbro or something like that.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of disagree with that because I think a good Trick Room setter is something that can actually take advantage of it once it sets it up. Like a different example of that being like Musharna is really bulky and really good at getting Trick Room up, but it doesn't really abuse it on its own. It has to go out to something else. I like stuff like Stacka and Victini that once it gets it set up, it can actually use it itself type thing.
This man really said Trick Room Victini.
Victini said it's Iron Ball with Trick Room. Obviously.
Not running Iron Ball Trick Room Victini, bro. Please.
What do you mean?
Don't fool yourself. Don't fool yourself.
Quick question for you, by the way. Have you considered Hatterene?
Not really, but now that you mention it, maybe.
Be a good pick, yeah, because it'll give you a magic balance as well.
Yeah, that would give me triple psychic too, but that's fine. They wouldn't really share weaknesses, the 3 psychics.
I mean, you might consider it later on if you struggle with your draft, but see what you can do with it.
Yeah, I will think about that.
Alright. I don't have much more to say about this draft, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I'm good. I've defended my piece a little bit, so I guess we'll move on next to, where is it at? Lonely and the Lowell Spinda. If I can actually go over to the team. There it is. His draft is Garchomp.
Annoying as fuck.
What?
That is annoying as fuck.
Garchomp, Keldeo, Incineroar, Metagross, Serperior, Vikavolt, Aromatisse, Phalanx, Garbodor, Porygon 2, and Delmise. I'll kind of start with this. Something interesting I kind of thought, maybe it's not the main core of the team, but just kind of a neat little thing, is Webs with Vikavolt, and then Contrary Superior and Defiant Phalanx, I think is interesting. Kind of deterring Defog there, as well as having Delmise as a spin blocker. But that was just a little thing I noticed. What do you guys want to take it from here?
The one thing I noticed is that Webs with Vikavolt plus SD Garchomp is really threatening.
Yeah, that's really scary. Oh, and even Keldeo, like, all mine Keldeo with Webs is really annoying.
Shoot, even without Webs, I think that's a good offensive core. I mean, it's fast. They kind of can break for each other.
They struggle with fairies, like both. He has good fairy checks in Metagross mostly.
Metagross only, basically.
And Garbodor, but yeah, I see what you mean. Garbodor isn't really kind of Pokemon you use to check fairies.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times I've noticed Keldeo can kind of overwhelm its checks sometimes, unless they're really bulky or resist both its stabs. Like something like a Clefable can, like, it'd struggle to stay healthy versus trying to check Keldeo and Garchomp at the same time. So that's something I always thought was good about Keldeo.
One of them, it's easy. Classic Class can do it, but both, it can be very overpowering.
Mm-hmm.
He has Aromatisse with Wish Passing, like, badass wishes to everything. Superior, Webs, God, this team is horrible. Oh no, I don't want to face this.
I'm struggling to come up with serious flaws for this.
It's actually really good.
The speed is, a little meh, but it's not even that bad. Having Superior as the fastest, it's, it's fine.
The one flaw, like I think it's questionable is that the web setter is Vikavolt. Vikavolt's kind of bad. And as a web setter, it's strong, like it's really good damage, but it has very meaningful weaknesses. Fire, like that. And it's very slow, like a Rockwanid, where it does so much damage that if you're a water type, you kind of struggle to switch in. It's Vote if you have a ground type, you can switch in, and if you have a spinner, like Delmise, an okay spin blocker. It's not the best, like Gengar or Frostlass, that at least are fast. You can throw in and check the opposing Pokemon before they can anything else. Delmise, trying to spin block, you switch into a spinner, and then the spinner just clicks the dark move on the following turn. And it spins. And Porygon 2 is really tanky, but I don't know, like, I feel like Incineroar and Porygon being only ghost resistant are scared because fire type isn't very resist. So I think this team would be better if you had like better dark type and just a pure fire. Other than that, this team's solid.
Yeah, and well, I was gonna say fighting resists are kind of meh, but Aromatisse does a good job, and even Vikavolt, if you run it defensively with boots, can actually check some fighting types and get webs up while it's doing that.
It's Roost, right?
Yeah, it gets Roost.
Yeah.
Is that he only has 2 rockers, being Garchomp and Metagross. Like, they're both pretty good rockers because they force switches and stuff. But I feel like, I mean, there's not much room to run both of them offensively and still have rocks. Like, you would like the setup opportunity or setup move, I mean, or just the coverage move in the move slots. So I'm not sure if I like those 2 being the only rockers.
Yeah, it's not perfect. I think you certainly could do worse, though. Like I said, they
Yeah,
are
as I
two
said,
rockers.
they both force a lot of switches, so they're good rockers, but it has to be one of those 2 if you want rocks, which is a bit of a meh point.
Yeah. But like I said, could be worse.
True.
It's really about all I got.
Yeah, all in all, I do like the draft. Like, it's pretty balanced, bit of bulky offense with quite some nice options.
Yeah. Bit too reliant on webs, but other than that, really solid.
Yeah, and it's a full 11 mon draft with all 11 mons being like perfectly bringable.
Yep.
So that's always a good thing.
Yeah, true.
Anyone else got anything?
No.
Move on.
All right. Next, we've got Axelraid and the Minnesota Bearticks. That team is Tornadus Therian, Hydreigon, Slowbro, Sylveon, Conkeldurr, Skarmory, Stunfisk, Rillaboom, and Scolipede. Now, the thing that kind of jumped out to me here is he's like the pairing of Skarmory and Stunfisk is actually a pretty good defensive core, but then I realized he's a little reliant on that Stunfisk as an electric resist. Outside of like Hydreigon and Rillaboom, which aren't really the most defensive mons in the world, or at least they don't want to be.
I don't know about that. Rillaboom is fat as hell.
It is, I'll actually give you that. But it's also, it would be one of the few good Scarfers on this team outside of Hydreigon. So it probably wants to play that role.
That is true. But he has a lot of momentum, though. So U-turn on Torn and Hydreigon, teleport Slowbro.
Oh, that's true, teleport.
And,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how much teleport is gonna help Slowbro. I think it's really it made Slowbro an even better pivot. So I think it will work really well. It's just that I'm not really sure about this offense. Like, Scolipede is good, but it needs setup to really punch holes. And Hydreigon is also good. Torn T2 and Conkeldurr can break. But I'm not sure, it's a bit not really much variety I think he can bring. I'm not sure what it is, but
well, that's important with the 9 draft Pokemon. Like, at least unlike the other 9 draft Pokemon, the Pokemon draft that we were talking about before, which is Mortals. This one actually has like extremely scary stuff, like Hydreigon and Torn. This is pre-DLC Torn, so there's no nasty blood, but even still, like, it is so annoying. With boots, it doesn't die. Just go into Slowbro forever, as you have an electric type. And the biggest flaw in this team, like I said, is reliant on Stunfisk.
good mono.
Yeah, I just realized how impossible to kill Boots Torn T is going to be. That's going to be so annoying to wear down. Jeez.
I think like he has some issues with bulky steals, Like, they kind of just wall a lot of the stabs of his Pokemon. Like, he has coverage on basically everything to deal with it, but nothing that potentially could hit things like Drop hard enough.
Yeah, it's just Skunk. He's too reliant on Conk for steals. Like Block Hydreigon can just Dark Pulse and ultra you. I think that is.
Yeah, it's kind of a straightforward team, but it's definitely not a bad one. I mean, there's a lot of threats on this team, and they overall synergize fairly well, even if he's a little reliant on certain mons to do certain things. But
like, he doesn't really break Corviknight at all, other than like.
Yeah, but that's a different issue.
Oh, we'll get to Corviknight.
Not many people do. It's not an easy to break Pokemon.
Well, I guess in that case, don't be surprised if we see Spec Stunfisk.
I would be surprised if we saw that shit ever. Sure. And in all seriousness, he has the Skarmory. But still is dealable with Hydreigon because he can Nasty Plot and Fire Blast, just kind of.
Yeah,
and Sylveon actually outspeeds. Wait, is it 65 or 60? Reminded.
I think it's 65.
65.
It's 65. Okay, so at least Sylveon outspeeds Celesteela and has Mystical Fire for that. So that's bad, I think.
Yeah.
I think Slowbro got Nasty Plot now, right?
It is?
Did it? I know Slowking
I'm not
did
sure.
it.
And Slowking always had Nasty Plot. Slowbro is a Gen 8 thing. The thing I don't know is that Slowbro is the weirdest Gen 8 Pokemon ever because...
No, it does not have Nasty Plot.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Because it gets it, but not now because Slowpoke is put it into the Sword and Shield. Slowbro isn't now. Definitely. Yeah.
I mean, Slowbro can run Coal Mine still, so...
Yeah, I know. Nasty Plot would have been way better for breaking stuff like Corviknight and Stilla.
Yeah, true. Alright. I don't really have much more to say about this draft.
Me neither. It's just really good, and a turn is a new term we have to use now. Support U-turn, return, or regen is really good. But other than that, it's just normal.
Yep. Alright then. I guess we'll move on then. Moving on to Ian and the Ladner Lantern. The team is Landorus T, Infernape, Necrozma, Starmie, Shaman, Slurpuff, Morpeko, Licky, Ferrothorn, Regice, and Seviper. Now, I actually really like this team's defensive synergy. I actually think like Licky, Ferrothorn, Necrozma is a really good trio. And, you know, the additions of stuff like Regice, which is actually now a good special wall with boots, and stuff like Starmie and Shaman, that's going to be really hard to break. Besides, you know, Lando T, which I think having good defense also means that Lando can afford to be more offensive a lot of weeks, which helps it out a ton. I think the hazard game is really good. It's got 4 good Stealth Rockers and Spiker. I like this team.
It has webs with Slurpuff.
Yeah, it has webs. I don't know if Seviper gets Toxic Splash, to be honest. I want to say it doesn't, but I might be wrong. It's such a weird...
I don't really think it does. Let me check.
Just looked it up. It does not.
Okay.
Really, I have no idea what it does.
It's just a tankier Arbok.
Actually,
It
I
gets
believe
Sucker Punch,
Arbok
doesn't
is
it?
tankier. Wait a second.
I don't think so. It has like
Because you
base
can
1.
Coil and Sucker Punch and stuff.
It's pretty
It has really high
comparable.
Yeah.
Special coverage. So, like
And its
Flamethrower.
coverage is godlike for some reason. And like the main thing about this draft is that Lando T, Infernape, and Necrozma in the same team might as well be impossible to prep for. Because those 3 alone do 8 sets, probably. Oh, easily. Versatile.
Yeah, there's no reason those three shouldn't come every week and be threatening every week.
And you never know what they're gonna do, because they can, like, all three of them can be set up, all three of them can be defensive. Even defensive Infernape is not a meme, because it gets like slack off and always.
Yeah. It's a hard Weavile counter.
Yeah. And the speed is good. Infernape Starmie is good. Not the best, but it's okay. Better than most drafts. Most of them, but it's better than a few drafts. I mean, it's just really annoying for a grass. It can be both fast and expensive.
I mean,
Slurpuff as a web setter is kind of it's not as bad as the worst you can do.
Yeah, I'd take Slurpuff over Vikavolt as a web setter personally.
Yeah, I would too. But I would still take a Ribombee or a Rockwanid before Slurpuff.
No, definitely. Actually, Ribombee would look really good on this team.
Yeah, I agree, but I think it's expensive. Or it was taken.
Something I think could have been better on this draft is the Voltorn. Like, he started out really well with Lando and Infernape, but all the months after that really don't have any momentum. So
we can get teleport.
Yes.
No.
So.
It's a Gen 1 Pokemon, it might.
I think I looked it up the other day.
Licky is Gen 2.
It does not get teleport.
Licky is a Gen 4 Pokemon. Licky is a Gen 4 Pokemon, but Licky Tongue is a Gen 1. Licky Tongue might get teleport.
I just looked it up.
Oh, true. Okay.
The only real Felicity on the team is Morpeko being the only flying resist.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, true.
I mean, he has to patch it up with, like, Ferrothorn and Landorus and Regice. Like, no individual flying type is impossible for him to beat with this team.
I can work around it.
He has to work balanced. Tornadoes is the biggest one that just this team all over. There are ways around it. So the other flyings aren't that scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the defense is just, really solid, other than, like, really specific mons like we, just mentioned. And even then, I think Regice can actually handle Torn, not counter it, but, check it fairly solidly. And that, that freedom to let Necrozma and Lando T be offensive when they want to is pretty big. And none of them are forced into hazards because they also have Ferrothorn.
That's true.
I really like this draft overall.
It's one of my favorites as well.
Yeah.
Solid.
I think that's about it. You guys ready to move on?
Uh-huh.
Alright then. We're moving right on over to our number 5. It is Rudiger and the Cleveland Cavaliers. This draft is Celesteela, Cinderace, Latias, Seismitoad, Galarian Weezing, Zarina, Poltegeist, Pangoro, Donphan, Electivire, and Chinchino. I think Donphan and Seismitoad on the same team is a little redundant. Like, I don't know, they kind of play the same roles as, like, bulky ground types, just Seismitoad does it better. But still both solid rockers, I guess. And the other thing for Poltegeist, I've used it before, and it is a great sweeper if you have ways of dealing with dark types, because it gets absolutely nothing. And outside of, like, Pangoro, it doesn't really deal with dark types very well in this draft.
Or normals. Poltegeist also struggles with normals.
That too. Again, Pangoro seems like about it.
Yeah.
I mean, Weezing can pressure them with T-spikes and, like, being a fairy, dark types.
Well, that's true.
And Poltegeist can store power normals, like, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, that's
stored power.
It still doesn't do that much.
Longer than Shadow Ball, right? After
It's what? It's base 100 power, right? After Shell Smash?
Is it?
I
Because it-
believe
It's
so.
plus
40?
plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 minus 2. So it gets plus
think you get
4,
the
which is
minuses,
plus 80. Yeah, it's 100 power. That's
No, I
right.
don't think you get the minuses with store power, right? It's
They do.
140.
No. The minus. You sure you count the minus? Yeah, I'm wrong.
Either way, it can't touch dark types at all.
Yeah, no, other than like Will-O-Wisp strength sets shit, like it's
Weirdest strength set user ever. But
Store power has 20 base power and it says plus 20 power for each of the users that boost.
okay, so it
So just
might be
if you're-
140.
Cinderace
It's
round
still-
2 seemed early to me.
The thing I like about this team is that there's no like really strong Pokemon outside of or like one that just nukes stuff, breaks stuff.
yeah, that was my one note on it. Was
Cinderace is not that strong. Outside of Pyro Ball, it doesn't do damage. Like it's like damaging move is Pyro Ball. This is not Liberal. It's just Torrent. Blaze. Like if you have a fire resist, like Cinderace, only option is U-turn. As that fire resist happens to be weak to high jump kick.
Yeah, pretty much. So like, unless it's like Incineroar as the check, it's not going to do too much.
Incineroar can probably take a high jump, -1 high jump kick.
Well, yeah,
Rip
probably.
misses it. Like if it's stuff like Audont, yeah, you're fine. Just if it's not Aqua Jet or Beetle.
I think
If I were him, I would free agency trade the Donphan and use those 11 points together with the 1 point he also has left to just get something he needs.
Like a fast breaker. I think
Yeah, like I'm not sure why he picked Donphan. Because if he needed a spinner, he already has Serena,
Yeah.
and he also had the ground already in Seismitoad. So I don't like Donphan on this team at all.
It's a secondary locked setter at least, but yeah, no, it is redundant.
Yeah. I'm not sure what I would pick
like Ribombe.
instead of Donphan though.
I think it could be like Ribombe because I don't think it was drafted and add webs to this team, which is really good. And like Evire and Goro especially love webs. And
Ribombe
the double was okay. Either way, like getting S breaker wouldn't really help him because Pongoro it's slow. People can just run a little bit of speed on their walls and just hit.
Yeah, I just don't know how to feel about this team. It definitely doesn't feel bad, but it just doesn't feel great either. I don't know if that was just me or not, but
it relies a lot on setup. Rena needs to spin to speed boost and beep. It's actually really strong, but it's slow, so it has a hard time. He actually uses rapid spin as setup. The race doesn't have any setup. I don't know if it gets bulk up, but either way, it's a terrible zero of it. Latias requires a lot of setup, so you can call my Sora Power and do that kind of stuff. Celesteela is a horrible sweeper in Generation 8.
I didn't think it was a very good sweeper in Gen 7 to begin with.
He could do it with Zemos. At least the threat was there, but without Zemos, just no. Poltergeist, 100% reliant on Shell Smash Cheese.
Yeah,
Fire is reliant on
easily the most matchup dependent sweeper you can get.
And Chinchino is not a breaker.
Yeah.
It's strong, like it's fast, but it's not that strong. Fast.
Yeah, it's fine for a last round pickup, but not for a breaker they rely on.
It's like a easy to stall team. If you have setup countermeasures.
Yeah. Overall though, not too bad. I'm ready to move on if you guys are.
Yeah.
we are moving on to our fourth team, and that is Shiny Spam and the Flint Tropius. His team is Zygarde 50, Weavile, Heatran, Toxtricity, Tangrowth, Togekiss, Azelf, Vaporeon, Swadloon, and Barbaracle. I overall like this team. It just feels like it kind of wants a little more breaking options. I mean, I guess Weavile and Toxtricity are both
You
fine.
crazy?
Well, what is immediately strong outside of Toxtricity and Weavile?
Heatran, Zygarde, and Azelf.
Heatran, yeah, I'll give you that. Zygarde and Azelf feel like they need setup to be strong. I just meant like right out the gate. Like,
I don't know. I think you're juicy, right? And then Zygarde is one of the most spammable things ever.
yeah,
So,
I guess,
yeah.
yeah, I'll give you
Based on
that.
100, isn't it?
What did you say, Showan?
Vaporeon can also do damage. Like, there's 110 base special attack.
Yeah, but like Vaporeon isn't the kind of Pokemon you look at it and say, "Oh, this is my breaker." But the other 5, Jesus.
True. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I guess you could put a band on Zygarde 50, but still, it's not that strong. But Weavile, Heatran, and Azelf too, they're strong. Toxtricity. So, I think the offense is
I
fine.
think you're undervaluing Bandit Zygarde. Sure, I can see that. Like most people don't not most people, but a lot of people don't have a good ground resist, or they have one.
And he also
A
drafted
Zygarde
the
resist.
Zygarde check.
A ground. You say, Psych?
He also drafted one of the best Zygarde checks in the game in Tangrowth, so
I
that's all.
was about to ask if you're talking about Swadloon. Yeah.
Well, that also applies,
Yes.
but yeah, Swadloon actually does take
Why
care
you
of
picked
Zygarde.
Swadloon?
There is a very, very big criticism that, like, his electric resist is Zygarde.
And Tanger.
That's Swadloon.
And Toxtricity.
Yeah, none of those are exactly great.
I think it's fine versus
again,
electric.
Zygarde checks electric types a lot better now that there's no hidden power ice.
Hazard game's kind of whack, I guess. Like, Tran's a good rock setter. Azelf can be.
I think Azelf's decent. I'm fine
Like,
with the rocks here.
they're alright. They're not, like, amazing. And he has, like, webs in Swadloon, but Swadloon's bad, so.
I mean, if he just wants to go hyper offense, you can just lead Swadloon, click sticky web, and then just do stuff, I guess.
He doesn't have anything to, like, prevent removal, though, other than.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
Like, no spin blocker, no defog punisher, one taunter.
He has more than one taunter. Like 3.
Well, I guess we probably gets it too.
Weavile, Azelf.
And Azelf, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's solid. I feel like I don't have a lot to say about this team. I mean, I kind of take back the one point that I did say that it actually is pretty strong. I was gonna say not a ridiculous amount of setup, but there's still good setups. Zygarde sets up, Weavile can Sword Stance, Azelf can Nasty Plot, Togekiss can Nasty Plot, so I take that point back too. Shit.
It's a good draft.
It is.
I don't have any criticism.
Remover.
I just wish they had like T-Spikes or X option. Zygarde loves those, but
Yeah, I guess.
Like,
I just want to see. I just want to see him run sticky webs and then eruption Heatran.
Ooh, I like that.
I'd like to see that. But other than that, I think this draft will be fun to watch anyways. Like, he has good options, so I would like to draft. Yeah.
Alright.
Well, good.
So are we good to move on then?
I think so.
Alright. Next we have got Cam himself with the Washington Caps. Team is Jirachi, Como, Rotom Wash, Whimsicott, Piloswine, Mandibuzz, Weezing, Golisopod, Gengar, Lycanroc Day, and Houndoom. This definitely, I think, as Nathan put it himself, this seems like the Cam All-Star Special. All kinds of your signature mons on here. I like the team. But seems a little slow, but even then it's not really that bad, actually. Just doesn't have like a base 120, but that's fine. Anybody else want to take this from here? I'm trying to figure out what I think about this, honestly.
It doesn't have a base 120, but Whimsicott is like base 1.
16 or 17.
Yeah, it's high tens.
Yeah.
And even though Whimsicott isn't the tankiest Pokemon, it can run very little speed, just run max defense stuff, and still outspeed stuff. But it's good in that regard. And the priority is crazy.
Like, he can scarf Jirachi, Como, I guess. Rotom Wash is a decent scarfer.
Gengar, but Jirachi and Wash, yeah, those are good scarfers.
Gengar too.
I don't know
Priority.
a lot of priority, yeah. Priority too. Ice Shard, Suppression, Accelerock, High Immunity for Jirachi, which is very good.
Yeah.
Boots Golisopod is about to be a threat. Especially at 4 points.
Has all hazards except webs.
I'm really glad that I drafted it as well. Glasspot.
Yeah, I was gonna pick that, but it's fine. Him asked me to pick it, so I was like, fine.
So man, how did Gengar last that long?
It's fairly expensive. Like, it's really good, but it's also fairly expensive, and it's hard to fit Ghost type if you don't have to round it. Like, people who go good got the other good ghosts got it like round 1 first pick, and drafted around it like Ian to strong ghosts. Work around those ghosts, but if you don't, it's kind of hard to just fit on.
Yeah, I mean,
the thing I like about Cam's draft is double poison. Not common at all.
he's got some really good psychic resists though, and Jirachi
And
and
his double dark. And double dark. And Weezing, I want to see Weezing be used. Glad like Cam got it because I know Cam the player, so I want to see more Weezing. I think everybody's sleeping on regular Weezing because neutralizing gas is just one of the most stupid, broken, dumb abilities ever made in Pokemon. So strong.
Wait, regular Weezing gets that now too?
It does.
Oh shit.
Both of them get levitate and neutralizing gas, and the only thing that changes is the hitting ability.
Okay, I thought that it was just Galarian Weezing that got that. I did not know regular Weezing got that.
The exclusive ability to Galarian is Misty Terrain.
Okay. Huh. Did I
Or
know
Misty
that?
Surge, whatever.
Yeah, but it makes regular Weezing a T-Spike Absorber now, which is good.
Oh, that's true.
It also walls everything. It has good coverage too. It has Fire Blast, which is pretty good on us.
I think it's always been a good mon, honestly.
But like neutralizing gas just makes it incredibly bad. You can deal with the ground weaknesses. You just switch into Mandibuzz.
Mhm. Yeah, that's actually really good synergy there.
As well.
The hazard
I've ran,
is
like-
really good. I think we already
I've
talked
ran
about
like Surf Weezing, check Sandrush, Excadrill to negate the Sandrush. It's hilarious.
Oh man.
If you run neutralizing gas, it means you don't have levitate. So
Yeah, but who cares?
yeah,
That's what I'm
but,
saying.
So yeah, I don't know.
Just switch. Go into the Rotom or Whimsicott or Lysopod or Mandibuzz. He has like 4 good ground resists. Like,
This is one of those teams that doesn't jump out at you at first, but the more you really look at it and try to dissect it, the more you realize there's just not really holes to poke in it.
yeah, Mandibuzz whizzing. Jirachi's just
Then you throw in
Rotom.
a Rotom Wash and
Everything is so bulky outside of the last 3. Like,
which is fine because everything else is so bulky. Yeah, I like this a lot.
But also a lot of offensive potential. So yeah, I like it too.
All right, do we want to compliment Cam anymore, or are we ready to move on?
if Cam wants to say anything, he can. He hasn't said anything about his own team.
Oh, that's true.
It gets 6-0'd by Garchomp under webs. But other than
That's, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Rotom Wash, I suppose. Whimsicott.
I don't think Showan's getting the reference, but we'll let him figure out on his own.
All right.
I guess I will.
On that note, moving on, number 2, we got Regenix and the Detroit Entes. Team is Clefable, Dragonite, Terrakion, Nidoking, Empoleon, Sneasel, Xatu, Arcanine, Rotom-Mow, Lickitung, and Excelgor. So Terrakion and Nidoking together are really scary for any even moderately defensive team, because those two just kill everything. And then Clefable is kind of a nightmare for offense because it comes in, sponges a hit, teleports out into one of those mons, and it just claims a kill. Just those 3 by themselves, I think, have amazing synergy.
It now has boots, so I'm excited to see that.
Dragonites is the scariest setup thing, and you can also run Inner Focus as a joke, but like as a serious countermeasure. I think you can stop without boots, without multi-scale. It's fun because it's not as easy to check Dragonite event setup, even without multi-scale, because there's no HPIs and stuff.
Yeah, the combination of boots and no HPI is just huge for Dragonite.
with if you're not running setup, low key special D-Knight might be the better set. Like the special move pool is so much better than physical one.
Yeah, sure. It's simple set. Runs the death and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, Dragonite kind of got hurt by no Z moves, but it gained so much more with boots, I think, overall.
Yeah.
But even the defense is, I think, pretty solid. Beer, I know you're not a fan of Empoleon, but I think it's fine.
I was what? You're a mind reader? What the fuck?
I believe you said that somewhere, but
I was about to say I don't like Empoleon being only water type.
I'm personally fine with that. But I think it and Clefable work pretty well together. And
You don't want your only water type to be weak to ground.
Yeah, the only real hole I see in this team is that it does not switch into Banded Zygarde at all. Like, at all.
What do you mean? Defensive Excelgor is right there.
I mean,
doesn't Banded Clefable,
Good
doesn't defensive Clefable switch into Banded Zygarde?
Full, yes.
Defensive Excelgor, then what do you hit the Zygarde with? HPIs? Don't think so.
Toxic.
Stab Moonblast.
It tank.
I mean, yeah, Banded Zygarde is obviously a threat. It's
invested Clefable, no special attack, nothing. Guard eats Moonblast easy.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not a threat, but overall, I think the defensive core is really annoying between Clef, Empoleon, Arcanine, Rotom-Mow, and even Lickitung is actually really surprisingly bulky. with a Violite.
True. I think for 1 point only, it's really good value.
I think Legitim for 1 point is fine. I also don't like how those resist Diesel and Lickitung. And there are many meaningful ghosts, but they're there. There's Gengar, there's Dragapult, there's Aegislash. Those guys might come, but other than that, they're a really good team. It's very scary. Very scary.
His electric resist is Nidoking or Rotom, which isn't, I mean...
4 times resist Rotom, so it's not gonna take a lot of damage.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, using Nidoking as a ground type, in the sense that switching to electric modes isn't the best option. I see what you mean.
But I play Reg week 1, so I've kind of just roughly started prep. I haven't gotten too far, but just trying to not lose to Terrakion plus Nidoking is really scary. They kill everything, and Clefable being able to teleport and get them in so easily is just a nightmare. Like, it's just so hard to deal with. But I think it's a good team.
Yeah, it's really good, really solid.
We good to move on to number 1, or do we have anything else to add?
I think we're good.
All right. If I can find the team, where is it on the dock? We're moving on. Number 1 is El Biribon and the Carioca Crooks. Team is Dragapult, Corviknight, Primarina, Nidoqueen, Obstagoon, Boltund, Reuniclus, Miltank, Mienshao, Magmortar, and Jumpluff. Man, this team. I am a really big fan of this team. And I know you are too. I watched draft analysis. Everybody go check that out. The speed is really good. The defensive synergy, I think, is overall pretty good. Jumpluff is kind of a steal for 2 points, in my opinion. I did not realize that thing got Strength Sap, and anything that fast with Strength Sap is going to be a pain in the ass. I overall think Corviknight and Nidoqueen is going to be a really good defensive core. What's that?
I'm just chilling with my Jumpluff. You guys can just talk.
I really struggle to poke holes in this team. Like, it's just pretty solid.
There's some bad stuff. Like, my hazard game isn't the best. Only rockers are Miltank and Nidoqueen, which are good rockers, but
yeah, that's the thing. I think they're really solid rockers. So,
and my only cheese spikes is Nidoqueen. I have no spikes or webs, but I don't really think I need them. I have Dragapult.
Yeah, exactly. You're never gonna lose the speed game because you have Dragapult.
I lose to TB because he has Zero Aura, but I don't lose to speed game. Why not?
Oh, that's right. Zero Aura is just a little bit faster than Dragapult. Forgot about that.
And the Selgor.
I don't care.
Obstagoon, I think, is a massive steal. That is a really underrated mon. Pretty bulky pivot with Parting Shot, can be really strong with Guts. It's got a lot of options on what it can do, and I'm really excited to see it get used. Also, it's a good Ghost Resist for Dragapult.
The amount of momentum I have on this team is actually hilarious to me. Almost everything gets a momentum move, except for Primarina, Nidoqueen, and Miltank.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? Shit.
Does Magmortar get teleport?
Yeah, Magmortar gets teleport.
Okay. Like, the removal is just Corviknight, right? Like,
I think so.
Corviknight might be the best defogger in the game, but I mean, it's still like one remover isn't the best.
Yeah.
Like, you could get hazard stacked and pretty like easily and taunt it down and shit.
It's not like he's that weak to hazards in the
point.
first place, though.
I only have one rock peak Pokemon. It's not gonna come to most games. Oh, two.
Everything outside of Corviknight is grounded, so spikes kind of fuck him up.
What? He's grounded.
What are you talking about?
Everything-
Corviknight's a flying type.
Everything outside of Corviknight.
Oh, everything outside
I
of
don't
Corviknight. Okay.
Isn't. And Reuniclus has Magic Guard.
Mm-hmm. That thing, I'm kind of scared of. Reuniclus is always a threat, and with Teleport, that just adds another dimension to what it can do, and I'm kind of scared of it, not gonna lie.
No, I don't know how Reuniclus came all the way back. Did not expect it.
Yeah, even Bolton feels fine, even though it's kind of weak electric. It's not insanely weak because it does get Strong Jaw or whatever ability.
It's actually stronger than most electrics in the meta.
Yeah, exactly. And the speed tier fits really well. Plus, your team doesn't struggle with water types so much to where you needed like a really powerful electric.
I don't know. I think it does actually.
I think you can muscle your way through a lot of them. Not all of them, but it's not a horrible problem.
I think my Lodic wasn't drafted, right? It was the happiest thing I could. I think that's the happiest thing I could muster because I can't deal with my Lodic 6 OZ.
Yeah,
other than that,
that's true. I'll give you that.
And chip down water types.
Yeah, but that's just a really solid team. I think that would be a lot of fun to use too. Besides just being good, it just all that momentum, a lot of different options. Got some nukes in there. It's a good team. All right. Anything else to add?
I think Kim died again.
Oh boy.
No. I'm still alive.
Oh, there you are.
Here.
Okay. Did you have anything else to add?
If you want to see me talk about this draft for 20 minutes, just go check the.
All right. I guess we're good to close this up then. Wasn't really sure how exactly to do this outro, but make sure you guys check out our other REDCast we're doing on the Blue Division. And make sure to check out everything else this channel's been doing. Do you guys have anything else you want to say before we go?
Nope. For hosting the analysis, and yeah, I'm excited to see what the drafts will end up doing. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun season. I'm excited.
I just want to troll people with Jump Off and click sleep powder through subs.
Oh, Gary, you should definitely bring Swords Dance Acrobatics jump left ones.
I should definitely not do that.
Do that.
Well, shit, with
show them the
strength stat,
power.
you could probably get up to +6.
Show them the power of jump left, please.
Oh, S55 base attack.
You can make it work. I
In all
trust you.
fairness, Fluff is superior bulk. Easy. It's not frame at all.
Damn. All right, I'm kind of scared now. On that note, I think we're going to go. Thanks for watching, everybody, and make sure to check out the next one. See you guys.